few short days, we launch the invasion of the Halo Ring. The UNSC's hold of the installation will crumble before the might of the Banished. But before the war chief sends you young bloods into battle, it is my burden to educate you lot of our allies within our great army. Seeing that many of you barely have any fur on your faces, it is not enough to simply fight alongside them. But when we take control of the ring, Escharum expects full cooperation between all the races if we are to triumph in the wars to come. Remember the law of Atriox. All who pledge themselves to his will are welcome, be it by loyalty or for power and profit. But to stand with the other races, you must first learn the order of things for all species within the Banished, their culture, their former station with the Covenant, and their new posts in our new order. So cease your snarls, and let us begin. Before you stands the lowliest creatures within the Banished. From Balaho came the small methane-breathing Ungoi, the Grunts of the Covenant. They are a mix of cowardice and ludicrous. They were conquered by the Covenant with little resistance at first, but there was, once upon a time, an Ungoi rebellion. And sometimes these runts show a surprising spirit of independence, not unlike we who stand here now. But they were among the Covenant's most devoted seekers and slaves, sacrificing themselves in great numbers on the battlefield. But when the Covenant turned to ash, we called many Grunts from Covenant-breeding colonies. The rest we acquired during raids, and they can be most useful as laborers and infantry when properly guided. But be forewarned, brothers. There will be no unwarranted killings of any of our Ungoi. Everything has its place, and theirs is to soften the humans when we take the ring and hold it. Next is the Huragok, a race created by the Forerunners, the species that created the ring we are to conquer. They created the Huragok as biomechanical beings to maintain their machines. Some are rumored to heal life forms. They were enslaved by the Covenant since its founding thousands of years ago and used to maintain their warships and find Forerunner tools. After the tyranny of the Prophets came to an end years ago, we seized a few hives of these engineers and bended them to the will of Atriox. Our War Masters took them on his voyage to the Ark, a place rich resources and a place of ultimate power. But they were most likely lost when the enduring conviction was destroyed due to human treachery. The Kigyar were next to be incorporated into the Covenant. These long-snouted, toothy, crested creatures are a mix of bestial and civilized. They were found by the Covenant on the moon Eon, which orbits the planet Shuat. They are ferocious and cowardly, fierce and yet scatter-witted. Yet some are impressive snipers, and after years of strife, they were conscripted as privateers and mercenaries. Their powerful senses made them effective scouts for the Covenant, especially during their war with humanity. And in the years since the Covenant's collapse, we now hire these mercenaries for the war that is to come. After all, every hunter needs tracking animals. Ha ha! Now, our next ally is the Legolo, disgusting worms that originate from the gas giant Tay. They were the first the Covenant pressed into their oppressive fold after years of war. They used them in their colonies to take on many forms, from hunters to scarab tanks. They wasted the latter on mining for worthless trinkets for their false journey. But say what you will about them, the prophets were wise to direct them for conventional uses, such as using them to decimate human holdings, and we, the Banished, capitalize that for our own uses. Though these Legolo are highly aggressive and violent, even to we Jiralhanae. If any of you come by a hunter pair during the forthcoming battle, you'd be wise to stay out of their way. And the last of our allies are the Sangheili. Quiet! Now! The Sangheili are a warrior race from their desert rock planet Sanghelios. They were the founding species of the Covenant, alongside the Prophets and the iron hand of their military, lording over the lesser species beneath the leash of the Prophets, all the while preaching their pathetic philosophies of honor and tradition. Honor is but chains, shackling a warrior from their truest potential. And yet, despite this, they are strong and proud. This is evident when they triumphed over the gullible brothers when the Covenant fell apart. And now many elites within our fold are mercenaries, paid in resources and equipment needed for their own squabbles back in their own systems. Fighting for their faith and honor, But we, the Jiralhanae, we are the first Banished. We are the hammer that'll soon strike upon the humans like a great storm, felling all before us. But before we rose to greatness years ago, the worst amongst us fell on each other like beasts. Our perpetual wars had reduced us from a higher civilization to one hampered by only feeble technology. Thus, resistance to the Covenant was short-lived. Added to this, our race had an unfilled hunger for some pathetic theological meaning, and we quickly set out upon the path to the great journey. The prophets promised us deliverance. In engage for our blind obedience, the chieftains of our alpha packs accepted their writ of union. And how were we rewarded? By throwing us at the humans like grunts to the slaughter! Though they offered us power and prestige above the elites, they sent many clans to their deaths at the hands of the human pests. All who were sent to break the front lines perished. All but one. One warrior endured everything the humans could throw at him. He fought and killed all who opposed him. And after each suicide mission, his legend and his hatred for the Covenant grew. When both were impossible to contain, they tried to banish him. But his defiance inspired others to take up the cry of rebellion. And on that day, the mighty Atriox founded the Banished. In the final years of the Covenant, we were but raiders, marauders, pirates, thieves. Now we are conquerors, expanding our reach throughout the galaxy. Even now, many chieftains of Doisac rallied to take up our cause. Much of this we owe to Atriox, who turned us from serfs into warriors. But months ago, his light was snuffed out by humans, killed when the enduring conviction was split in two by their treachery. But now, under our war chief, Escharum, we shall honor his will and avenge his death upon each and every last human on that ring. Soon, we will possess it, and then the auditorium will be next. Soon, we shall show the galaxy that we are superior. Soon, we'll bring anyone who would dare stand against us to